Coming up on today's show, we're going to switch things up from chasing lake trout and focus on big walleyes and pike, and we're going to share some tips on how to put your ice fishing gear away at the end of the season.
Fishing with Gussy is proudly sponsored by and uses Shimano rods and reels. Visit fish.shimano.com for more information.
Welcome to part 2 of Fishing with Gussy. You know, we spent the first episode chasing trout around. I got my friends up from Northland Fishing Tackle, and we've switched things up, and it's a little bit later in the day, and now we're kind of chasing big pike and walleyes. We're sort of fishing an area that's going to get good here late in the season, and you know, over the years we've caught a lot of big pike and big walleyes here, so we got Sean drilling some holes, and the boys are getting rigged up, and I'm just gonna we're setting up a few tip-ups to try and hopefully hook a big pike. So these are just the Northland Predator rigs. We've used these in the past. They come in a package like that. I just opened this one up. And basically, they're a really neat quick strike type of quick strike rig that hangs the bait in a real natural fashion. And if you've never fished for big pike before with these dead baits, this is by far the best way to catch a big pike under the ice any time of year. You get the biggest pike of the whole season in the late winter, and this is the best way to catch them. You can use live minnows, and for whatever reason they just don't work quite as good as the dead baits do. So we hang these about a foot or so off the bottom. You got to take a knife and put some holes in them so they, you know, you can sort of squeeze the air out of them so they sink, and we're going to hang them just under the ice like that. And it's very simple, but if we get a hit on one of these things, it's probably going to be a big critter. So that's what we're after. Hopefully we're going to catch some big fish this evening.
Nope.
I'll drop it back down. Maybe he'll hit it again. That's all right. You didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Oh my God.
It's all good. That happens all the time. They just drop it, and sometimes you put it right back down and they hit it again. But you could feel them chewing on it.
Oh yeah. We got something. Oh yeah. Big, long head shake. Whoa, 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 come on. First couple head shakes were good. Now it's coming back. You see something at the bottom of the hole here, I think. I think this is very fitting for me. At the bottom of the ice. No, there we go. No, nothing. That's just our bait.
Huh.
Yeah, nothing. I'm stuck on the ice now. Oh well. Life goes on.
What do you got there, kid? Nice. Here, maybe come around this side, buddy.
He is.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a monster, guys. Whoa! Wow. So I haven't even got my line in the water yet to start getting set up for walleyes and everything else. But there you go. That's that Northland Predator rig. And you saw the size of the baits we were putting on there. And that's what you get. And they're a quick strike rig, so you don't have to let that fish run for a long ways. I mean, if he grabs it, they're gonna grab it head first, and those hooks are gonna be in his mouth. So if you let them run for a long time, then they have the chance of swallowing it and getting hooked bad. But most of these fish are hooked just like that, right on the outside of the mouth. And that's awesome. That'll make a guy's winter right there.
Yeah, that's a big beauty.
Sweet, man. Well, that's a good start to the evening.
There we go.
Beautiful. Coming up on Fishing with Gussy.
In Sunset Country, if you see a flag go up, it's a whole different meaning.
Yeah. For fishing later in the winter, towards late ice where you can kind of get the walleyes and pike mixed in together, you want to think about fishing around the mouths of some of the bays where these fish are going to go spawn. And pike and walleyes both spawn pretty quickly after the ice goes out, and they're looking for, relatively shallow water. So the mouths of bays, a lot of across northwestern Ontario and Sunset Country, a lot of the smaller inland lakes is the best time to fish on these lakes all winter is sort of late in the year. And usually the bite, especially for the walleyes, is going to be best kind of right now, later in the evening. And we had a pretty nasty cold front go through. It was really warm the last couple days, and that's hurting the fishing a little bit for us today. It's funny, you don't really think that the weather and cold fronts and wind have as much influence on fishing as in the summer or in the winter as they do in the summer, but sometimes they do. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that today maybe, but we've been pretty fortunate. We've caught some big fish today, but it's been kind of a grind, not as good as we expect. And March is the prime time. If you're gonna visit this area to go ice fishing, January can be good too earlier in the winter, but March is the best time. The days are longer, the weather's nicer, and fishing generally is gonna be a lot stronger. I don't know if that fish has that. Oh yeah. Definitely. You never know with those big Cisco's if they have that entire bait in their mouth or not, Just never know what you're dealing with. Oh yeah, beauty.
With a big old green monster.
Oh gosh. Watch your hand. There's a treble hook there, Eric. Oh, that's a nice fish. Got him?
There you go.
You all right? Oh, now that is a Sunset Country giant right there. Look at the girth on that baby. Wow. I tell you what, those Predator rigs work fantastic. I mean, the size of the baits we're using, obviously, right in the corner of the mouth. Wow, look at the girth on that girl. That is a beautiful fish right there. Unbelievable. Oh, look at that beauty. Gussy? That's a King Kong, man. Wow. That's a nice fish. What a big monster. That thing is thick. That's the one thing. In Sunset Country, if you see a flag go up, it's a whole different meaning. Yeah. When you're dealing with fish like that, eh? Yeah. And now's the time of year to catch them, all through March. The season's open, year round for these guys. So, but the later you can kind of go, we're a little bit early, really. It's going to be really good in like 2 or 3 weeks, but yeah, here you go. Nice. I had to hold your fish for a second because it's such a big one. Oh, we better get this girl back in.
All right. That's awesome, man. What a monster.
Wow.
Brother.
Unbelievable.
Look at that, filling up a 10-inch hole.
There she goes. Beauty. Yeah. Awesome. Hey, thanks again, Gussy.
Well, I'm so glad you guys could come up here today, to fish for a few days. And today it's been a bit of a battle. I don't know if the wind or the weather or whatever, but we've been able to catch a few big ones. So
a lot of fun.
That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Okay, well, we still got lots of light left, so let's keep at it. See what else we can wrangle up. Coming up on Fishing with Gussy.
Tech Tips is brought to you by Northland Fishing Tackle, made by fishermen for fishermen.
Chip Leer with Northland Fishing Tackle, and as ice fishermen, we know that jigging spoons far and away account for the majority of the fish caught through the ice, and that's what we're doing tonight, chasing these walleyes here. In fact, one of the go-to spoons is from Northland Fishing Tackle. It is the buckshot rattle spoon. This thing catches fish. It's a lead body with a brass rattle chamber that makes all sorts of noise and clunks, and that's what is the advantage to a vertical jigging spoon versus just a plain old jig is when it drops, it flips to the side, offers a little bit of flutter, and then it's got a noise chamber inside here that is made of brass. Now, things have really expanded over the years. We go from there into different types of noise. This one here is made out of brass, side cut, so a different type of slat, a different type of fall. It's got a kicker tail fin here that clinks and clacks against both the hook and the brass, making a different noise there as it lifts and drops. Or in really dirty water, this is called a whistler here, and this has got a blade on it, so as you lift it up, this blade rotates and vibrates. Again, fluttering action as it descends, bait on the end there. And then last year, Northland Fishing Tackle came out with the very first tungsten spoon. So super heavy, slender, called a sliver spoon, super thin, lift and drop, gets down to the bottom real quick, but heavy, dense metal made of tungsten. And the latest, greatest for probably the most finicky of fishes all. Think about when you look at all these, we got brass, tungsten, lead, different drop rates out of each one. This one's out of a Z alloy. This is the newest one right here called Flutter Spoon. A glass chamber in, so it's going to be a little bit higher pitched sound. It's going to have a little more tinking sound. But the coolest part is when the fish get finicky, as it flutters back down, it flutters slow, giving them more time to bite your hook. So when things get tough, go to the flutter spoon. The fish are active and aggressive right at prime time. Sometimes a good old buckshot rattle spoon, sliver spoon, or a macho minnow might be the key. But whatever it is, jigging spoons will continue to dominate the fish you catch through the hole in the ice.
Tech Tips is brought to you by Northland Fishing Tackle, made by fishermen for fishermen.
Well, as you can see, the ice fishing season is winding down for us, and we're going to take a break from fishing right now and just talk a little bit about putting your ice fishing gear away for the winter and you know, storing it properly so that next year when the ice season starts again, it's all going to be ready to go. And we got a little bit of snow last night. You can see the ground is kind of white, and you can see my little buddy here, Muggins. This is our cat. He likes to get on TV apparently. Hey, bud. But anyway, I'm getting ready to put all my stuff away, and you know, there's a few things I like to do, and most of these I've learned the hard way by not taking care of it and putting it away properly. So, and stuff gets wrecked, and we don't want that. So, the portable fish houses, you can see it's going to warm up today. All this little bit of dusting of snow we got last night's going to melt. I like to let these things sit out for a couple days and totally dry out. And you can, you know, you can see I've sort of got ice. There's ice frozen on there. Like, we just used this thing yesterday, and inside we've got, you know, some ice sort of on places, and I want this thing to be totally dry when I pack it up, and that way there's going to be no mildew or mold that sort of gets on it, you know, over the course of the summer. There's a window on all four sides. I'll take them off and just put them together, lay them out flat for the summer, and then they're going to be in good shape again come next season. So make sure you dry these things out really well, and that's going to really prolong the life of them, because they're not cheap and you want to definitely take care of them. So I'm going to we're going to go in the garage and have a look at a few other things here. Now, as you can see, I've got a little bit of a mess going on in here. You know, after the last few days out on the ice, everything was kind of damp and wet in my tackle bags. So I've got some of the stuff, I spread it out last night and dried it out. But you know, all this tackle that I've got in here, I'm gonna get it out, go through it, Get rid of, you know, any of the hooks that have rust on them, because they'll kind of contaminate some of the others. Some of the, you know, there's a couple lake trout baits that we had rigged up from the past few days. I'll probably, you know, keep those out, because those I can actually use in open water as well. And just kind of, you know, get everything cleaned up. We got a lot of little pieces sort of spread out here, and make sure everything's, you know, put away in good condition, and then come next year stuff's going to be ready to be used again, and not, you know, and still be in good shape. Rods and reels, I got a little bag here that I sort of transport everything in when I'm on the snow machine. So a lot of these I'll actually you know, they're fine to just kind of put away once you get them untangled, but we'll take the hooks off, take the baits off, and then just sort of hook the line up on the reels. Just kind of, we'll do the same with this one. If you just kind of put your finger right in front of that little clip, then you can, you know, see how I've got the line pulled in there? And then, yeah, it's good to go. You're not going to have any issues with the line coming off the spool and making a mess. So, okay, so you know, the biggest thing with a lot of this stuff is to just make sure you put it away and make sure everything's dry. So there's one of my jackets. I've had that hanging up, so that'll go in the house, and I've got, you know, a place I can hang it up for the summer. The seats for the shelter, make sure they're put away nice and dry. It's kind of handy that these kind of pop in and out, because sometimes, you know, like the last few days, the weather was warm enough. We didn't have to really sit inside of a shelter to fish. We were able to fish outside, but we wanted the shelter to be able to pull a lot of our gear around. So on those kinds of days, you don't necessarily need to bring those seats. But that's about it. You know, make sure everything's dry, put away properly, and it'll be in good shape, good condition next fall when you want to get ready to go ice fishing again.
Big pike, that's big head, big teeth, big belly, big fish. We'll be back in a minute.
On Fishing with Gussy, including in this episode, we spend a lot of time on Lake of the Woods and the chain of lakes that surround it. There are thousands of islands and miles of shorelines that exceed that of any Great Lake in North America. During the fur trade, it was much easier to travel by water than Ontario's dense bush. Les coureurs du bois, or rather traders who mostly worked with the Hudson's Bay Company, used Lake of the Woods as their main link to Western Canada. But how did this name come about, you might be wondering? Well, really by poor translation. The French traders mistook the Aboriginal words spoken to describe this water, and it was part of their ancestral land. The First Nations called it Minestic. In Ojibwe, this means Lake of the Islands. But since the Ojibwe words for islands and woods sound similar, the French called it Lac du Bois, which, in English, is Lake of the Woods.
Big guy?
Came up and just smoked it.
Are we pretty close?
Yeah.
Oh, it might be a trout. Actually. Whatever it is, it's pulling hard and looks like fun. Hey?
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna be nicknamed Big Fish Tony after tonight.
Ran over, grabbed the tip up, and come right back. Big Mark sitting down there, just waiting for me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I just want to see what we got here. Yeah, it's a trout. Cool, we spend all day fishing in 80 feet and we catch a few, and then we get up into 15, 20 feet.
Nice.
There you go.
Gotta love it, man.
Look at that.
Unbelievable. Just inhaled that bait too.
Buckshot rattle spoon. I put a post on Facebook the other day that I think that's probably the best ice fishing lure of all time.
Absolutely.
And we all use them for walleyes all the time. We don't use those for trout as much as we should, because every time you're walleye fishing and one sees it, they come over and eat it immediately. But
especially these new UV colors, these pinks, they're just dynamite baits.
Those are pretty, man. That's the prettiest fish we have in our lakes up here. That's awesome.
For sure.
Beautiful. All right, well.
Two of my favorite fish to catch through the ice, big lake trout and of course big pike. Back to back. Catch a 20-pound class pike in one hole, jump to the next one, and get a 10-pound laker. Unbelievable.
There we go. Got him. You kind of fish all evening and then all of a sudden you get a half hour of chaos here right when the sun goes down. Ooh. Pretty nice one, I think. Yeah, just another nice walleye. That's on the buckshot again. I lost my minnow head, but you could see earlier on, on some of those fish that Tony caught, we're just using the head of a minnow on there. And I've talked about this before, but if you use a whole minnow on that thing, it's too big of a package, and then that spoon doesn't have as much nice action as it does just with that little head on there. So the spoon, the color of it, the rattle, it's got a little rattle chamber in the back. That's why it's called the buckshot. And just that, the fluttering action gets their attention, and then when they come and inspect it, it's nice just to have that little bit of meat on there, and that's what's kind of seals the deal a lot of the time. But yeah, another nice walleye. Sweet. I think we got time to catch one or two more maybe. What do you got, buddy?
Another one just came in and cracked it. I barely got a look at it.
I've been marking them like crazy, and I'm not, I should have had that pink buckshot on, obviously.
Yeah, that PVC and that low light is just a fantastic bait, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, look at that. You want to pop that hook out?
Yeah, you bet.
And I'll hang on to him. Sweet. Well, that caps off a pretty good day. It's been a battle, like a grind. We've been having to work for everything, but we've caught some nice big fish. And
yeah, the overall quality size fish today, though, even though we're not getting big time numbers,
yeah,
you can't complain. I mean, 20-pound pike, big lake trout, and obviously quality walleye.
Yeah, and I think the weather's hurting us a bit, because the numbers can be there too some days, and it's just, but that's it. But yeah, another great day in Sunset Country.
Absolutely, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay, well, it's been fun. Thank you guys for coming up. Whew. Right on.
Fishing with Gussy proudly uses and is sponsored by Jackal Lures.